It's time for Tab Talks, your weekly conversation about matters of faith. I'm your host, Jennifer Rash.
And I'm your co host, Debbie Campbell. And we are joined today with two other TAB team members, Maggie Evans and Margaret Colson. And we're going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to turn the tables, and the three of us are actually going to talk with Jennifer. And she's going to be our special guest now in this time that we have together, because many of you know, but many of you may not know, that Jennifer has just completed 25 years at the Alabama Baptist as of January the 1st of this year.
Yes, I
And
was two when I
so
started. It's true. I was two when I started.
you were 2 years old. You just came in as a toddler. And
Debbie, I'm
so,
not sure I like this thing. I don't know. You guys, I don't trust y'all. I don't like being on this side of the story. I
You
don't
know,
know.
you
well, we're going to get started and we're going to find out what has happened in these 25 years. You've gone from coming here as a writer to now you are head of this company. It's a Cinderella story. So we'd like to hear more.
Hey, I've always wanted to be a princess. How about that? Oh, well, thank you guys so much for thinking about this. Hitting that 25-year mark was a little bit crazy. It was hard to believe, but the fact that you wanted to talk about that, I thought that was a lot of fun. And I love telling my story. I do prefer being the interviewer, obviously, but I always love sharing my story because God has really shown up in so many ways. And so anyway, I'd love to share a little bit about it.
so when did you get started here? You were two. So what year about?
I know. I love to trick everyone. They think of, wait, how old are you? It's fun. It's a fun story. I started January the 1st, 1996, and don't even tell me how old you were, Maggie.
I'll keep that one in my pocket.
Yeah.
Math.
But January 1st, 1996. Crazy enough, I came to the Alabama Baptist. I like to say it was kind of what I thought would be a layover while I was working on my seminary degree to figure out where God was going to place me, So I always laugh at myself really at that story because I really did end up here excited about the opportunity, but thinking it was going to be just to help me pay the bills to get through seminary. And within days, honestly, I was at home. I knew I was at home. I didn't really understand it, and I didn't know how God was going to work in that, but it was really neat. But the neat story and how I got here is connected back to Jim Oakley, one of my mentors through college and still today. He has been such a pivotal part of my whole life, but he was the job placement person, the intern coordinator, the career counselor, that kind of thing at the University of Alabama while I was there, and had me lined up for some positions after graduation. I kind of turned everything on his ear with my decision to go to the mission field. And that was a whole nother story. But after the conclusion of my term on the mission field, it was about the same time Bob Terry moved to Alabama to become, or moved back to Alabama to become the editor of the Alabama Baptist. And he asked around and said, who is the person that would know who to find staff members? And Jim Oakley's name surfaced as the person in the state of Alabama. If you want to know where to find a staff member for your newspaper, go talk to Jim Oakley. So Bob Terry talked to Jim Oakley. And of course, how crazy was that? His timing with my timing coming off the field. Jim Oakley, after filtering through a couple of names, thinking through things, he went, wait a minute, I know exactly who needs to be on your staff. And so anyway, that's how it worked out. They had an interview, talked about me, and I had a job. So it was great. And that's how much I trust Jim Oakley, if you will. I just said, okay, wherever you're sending me, that's where I'll go.
Looking back on those 25 years, and that is quite a milestone, what have been some of your favorite memories or stories that you have been a part of at the Alabama Baptist?
Margaret, I get that question a lot and I never can answer it. There's just so much. It's almost like, well, what happened yesterday? There's just so much or so many pieces and parts, everything from our family, if you will, our team at TAB, and all the different people that's been here and that we've been able to live life and do life with, all the different stories that come through that. But the stories from also just being able to cover, and then all the experiences with the groups like what you're part of with Baptist Communicators Association and Association of State Baptist Publications and Evangelical Press Association and Associated Church Press and Religion Communicators Council and Alabama Press Association, and on and on and on. You can just go through all of these other groups that allow us to have opportunities outside of ourselves here. And then just our work with the State Board of Missions and all the various sister organizations here in the state of Alabama. But if I zeroed in on a story, a coverage, again, we've gotten to do so many great things, and I've gotten to live some of the stories through others who did their coverage. But I always go back to one story that will always, I think, impact me more than any other could. And it was a young girl who was needing a triple organ transplant. And I accidentally got to tell her story. And it was all because I got sent to South Alabama to cover a church who had just started, the church had just started a Hispanic ministry reaching new people in the area there. And it was, in the late 90s, that was still kind of new for what we were doing in Alabama. So I went on site to cover what was happening there and ran into this family and met her. Again, that was not the assignment, right? That was one of those stories where you find the story because you went for something else. And that story turned into, it just impacted my life in so many ways. And telling her story, she did not survive in the end, but the experience of getting to live life with her and be part of that family's experience in a hospital setting when they would come to UAB for her appointments and different things where they were prepping her for those potential surgeries, and the opportunity to just be with them for, I think it was 6 or 8 weeks. I was in and out of their lives, prepared me for not only just a powerful story of faith from this family, but also who knew that, 15 years later, I would be living a similar story with my family, and just to be able to pull back to what God taught me in those moments.
That's incredible. And that's when you were saying that, I was thinking that's so similar to, because I came in to TAB 6 years ago, I think. I had to look over off into the distance to try to remember times.
It's been so long you can't remember.
So long.
You've always been here, Maggie.
I've always been here. Exactly. I joined when I was even younger than 2. But as you were saying that, it made me think, like, that's kind of incredible how, you walked through that with that family and kind of saw that journey. And because I came in the midst of your niece Belle and her life. Can you just kind of give a quick recap for people who might be coming in to the Alabama Baptist new and maybe missed that chunk of your story?
Wow, we could do a whole podcast on that for sure. Susanna Bell Mitchell will always be a legend in so many minds, but she changed our world in so many ways. Bell fought cancer for 5.5 years. We found it at 2.5, and she made it to 7.5. And so really about 2, I guess, is when we found it. But Belle is the daughter of my husband's twin sister and her husband, and they have 4 children, including Belle. Jason and I do not have children and are the godparents of those 4. And so anyway, we were very invested in their lives, as well as my other nephews and our bonus nieces and nephews. We are very invested in so many kiddos' lives. But with all that happened with Belle, we became part of the caregiving team. So Belle essentially had 4 parents in that one moment of her season there. But we were able to do so much and be able to let Jesus shine through her. She was incredible. And gosh, I really could go on and on and on. Her story, you can read about her on my blog at rationalthoughts.com. But Belle had an amazing journey. She impacted so many people. And just to be able to be part of that, I always decided through all that I was doing, I was her director of communications. And I said that was will always be my most favorite role ever, was to be the director of communications for Belle Mitchell.
Yeah, truly.
That's great. Jennifer, I was just thinking, for young professionals that are out there, that have a job. I know you said you came and it was a job to have at the time, but that evolved gradually for you. And those of us who know you know that this became not only just a job, a career, it is a ministry. Can you just kind of share with us that part of your journey and how this came from just a job, help you get through seminary, to really a life ministry?
You know, Debbie, I majored in journalism uh, through, you know, at the University of Alabama as my bachelor's degree. Sorry, I can't speak. Um, and knew that that's God was calling me into communications. And I didn't really understand how that would all play out. I did know that I was called into full-time Christian service as well. And again, all of this is oddly playing out for me because, you know, what does that mean? What does that look like? I know I'm supposed to be in communications of some sort. I was really, you know, looking at the normal, I guess, quote, normal ideas of that. Would, you know, would that be in broadcast? Would that be in print? What would that look like? And then to, you know, 2-3 months before college graduation, to realize that, wait, I'm supposed to do this other random missions project, right? It's a 2-year missions term. And crazy enough, it was in communications, you know, and it was just neat how God was just placing all of this in front of me. And so finishing up my missions term and ended up back here, like we talked about, after Jim Oakley and Bob Terry decided this is where I'd be. I still had not grasped, you know, that it was actually playing out as what would be the ministry that God would have me in. I was still seeing, you know, trying to figure it out. What is it he's doing? How is he? I know I'm learning. I knew he was using all of this to grow me and to develop me, but I still couldn't figure out where that was heading. So it was an interesting journey there in the first few years to really transition from seeing the role, again, doing everything you would do as a journalist, right? It just happens to be in a faith-based publication, to seeing it then as truly the ministry. And that was just some time, you know, God really working in my life, and then watching and learning. Again, you know, give all kinds of gratitude to Bob Terry for taking a chance on me, and then watching him live that out in his life, and then all of y'all that were a part of the team too, and how you were living that out. It all influenced me to see. And, you know, there's so many other editors out there that played similar roles and would model that for me as well. But it was, you know, it was just God working and showcasing. But I would say that you never know who you're influencing by just the way you're living your life every day and the way you come to work and do your job. So, you know, Debbie Campbell, you influenced me, you know, Maggie, Margaret, all of y'all, you've influenced me and taught me. And, you know, to see how you could have joy in your heart and serve, and how so many people that, you know, have moved through here and are still here, how they're doing that as well. And so once that kind of gelled in my own heart, and I grasped that, hey, this is where God has me. And how did I not think that I would be anywhere else? Because I do. I feel absolutely at home. I love Alabama Baptist. I love serving Alabama Baptist and all that means. And even beyond the borders of Alabama, I love being able to branch out past that and just be part of the bigger picture of what God's doing through Baptist all over the world.
I have a question, Jennifer. Over 25 years, every career has its ups and downs, its bumps along the road. What have been 1 or 2 challenges perhaps that you have faced through the years, and how did you work your way through that to transform that challenge into an opportunity?
You know, we can't talk about that one, right, Margaret? I mean, seriously. You know, gosh, obviously, personally, there's always those challenges in life that maybe things hit you, and there's issues you didn't expect that would come to your life, and those have happened through the years. And just having to again hold on to your faith and hold on to, you know, all right, God, you've got something here. I'm trusting, and I'm just gonna go along for the ride here and hit. I always like to call it, you know, it's like a rope you're holding onto, and you may be being battered in the sea, but you can hold on to that rope and still make your way through. But as far as like the challenges that we faced in this industry, oh my goodness, I first have to back up and tell you, do you realize that when I started, there was one newspaper that was produced once a week with, I think 10, Debbie help me, I think it was less than 10 fewer than 10 local editions of our church local edition pages. That was what we did every week. We had one email address that we all used. Isn't that funny? We had one cell phone, and it was really big, and it was one we had to check out. And it was so much fun. I mean, it was just so crazy that this is what we did. And we still had a fax machine. Oh my goodness. Just different things that were, it's crazy now to see that we're a full media company now. We're a full media group with this podcast and 3 other podcasts and a radio show, and so much on digital platforms and all the social media and our Tab Media Group YouTube channel and all the different things we're doing. And then, the publication is still 178 years later, we're still printing every single week successfully.
Mhm.
And we're blending all of that together. But that doesn't mean it was easy. So back to your question on the challenge. So there were almost every time it was time to make another step and grow what's happening here in this media group, it was always hard. Every step was hard. It was hard to, I remember being part of the team that actually developed our first website. See, I am old, see? But I was part of the team that developed the first website, and how exciting, but how scary, and how it was hard. It was hard to really put all that together. And then when years down the road, when it was time to do the digital edition of what we do every week in print, that was hard. That was hard. So, how I don't know if I have an answer how we overcame, except we did somehow. We're here, right? We're still here. We're moving along. But I really think it was the team. The team would come together. We would sit around the table, and the thing that I loved that I learned from several of my mentors was everybody come to the table and fight for what you want and what you think and what bring your research, do your fact finding. Don't come with just emotional responses, but come with facts and strong opinions, in a way of, here's what I think we need to do, and here's why, and here's what I've researched, and here's what I found. And we hash it out, and we sharpen each other, and then we come to a unified conclusion, and then we have a unified front, and we are all about it, and then we support each other, and we help each other. And if somebody's not quite strong enough in an area, we have a team that will come in and say, okay, well, how can we all help each other? We can help build each other, grow each other. So those moments were tough. They were, because sometimes you get tired and you're like, oh, one more thing. And, everybody's exhausted. We're piling on and having to convince a team that's already overworked and overwhelmed that we're going to add one more thing. And yes, I know you're laughing because I just did that yesterday, but it's an interesting balance there. So I think it's the people around you that makes a difference.
Absolutely. And you were talking about the team, and that and that's a big thing, that as long as I've known you, you've always, from intern to office assistant, float around office assistant, to news writer, the gamut, really. You have always wanted so much for the team to be united, for the team to support one another, to have a healthy team. And you've always invested in taking a chance on younger people. As someone who is a product of that, I really just want to make sure everyone knows, we really appreciate it as young ones. But where did that come from? Do you think it was kind of you experienced that from Dr. Terry, and so you wanted to kind of pay that forward? Is that just something that you just innately do?
That's a good question, Maggie. I can't remember far enough back on when I started that thinking, but I do remember in high school and college where so many people, and I don't know why, I don't know how it happened, but people poured into me. They invested. I don't remember if I walked up and said, "Hey, invest in me," or if it just happened, but I just remember constantly there were so many people who were so much farther along the journey that were willing to teach me and lead me and guide me and help me. and not make me feel goofy when I didn't know what I was doing, or when I thought I knew what I was doing, and was very vocal about it, and learned that, okay, they were all laughing behind my back probably, but they didn't make me feel bad about it. They saw it as youth and spirit and energy and passion and all of those kinds of things, and said, but we need to help her. We need to help her. And I really don't know how I could have survived or made it anywhere without that. And so I do think it was automatically in my mind that even in high school, that I would always give back. I would always invest and do the same for others because of the difference it made for me. And then, in college, uh, we were very big on, internships, be involved. And what I loved, and I still try to teach, it's interesting to share this, in today's world, but I was taught that, you have to go and learn and grow. And so that means you may have to give away some of your work. You may have to volunteer and say, hey, I want to come and learn from you. So I'm going to go work. I'm going to do the work, but you teach me. And, sometimes that's not understood. Wait, what? If I'm going to work, you got to pay me. But if, I was glad that I had enough sense to do that. And then, so anyway, I've just always wanted to repay.
Well, you have. Fear not. Just from
Yeah.
me seeing all around, and I'm sure Debbie has seen like countless more, because y'all work together so much longer than you and I have, Jennifer. So I'm sure Debbie's like, listen, let me count on my fingers and toes all the people, all the young people that Jennifer has invested back into.
Well,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
and I have to give credit to Bob Terry too, because he also believed in that, and was very much investing in younger. I mean, the fact that he took a chance on me, seriously, he invested, and so he modeled it for me. He continued to model it for me. So everywhere I've been, that's been modeled.
So Jennifer, as president of this company and moving forward, what do you see for the future? You've got 20, say the next 25 years.
I know. I hope I still get to be here, right?
Just the big picture here.
Okay, so you three promise me you'll interview me in the next 25 years, right? This will be hilarious. Oh, I do hope I get to be here in 25 years. I don't know what God will do, and I don't know where we'll all be, but I see our future as very, very bright. I am so excited to be part of it, and I do hope God lets me get to hang out for a while longer. But even if He doesn't, it's amazing there's just so much feet. It's ready to go. That we have so much energy and creativity and a vision on the staff, and everybody can see that God is really using what we've developed at Tab Media to move on into this next season of whatever that's going to look like. Yes, we're a full media group. All those things we listed before we have. But that's really not important, because by next year there's going to be a new platform, and by then 10 years from now it's going to all look different. So it's not so much about how we can provide you the content and the information, but it's the point of the fact that we're here and we're working hard, and you can trust that we're trained in what we're doing, and we are committed to the cause, and to be calm and to be clarifying and to be fact finding and truth telling. And then the fact that we're all we're circling around the feet of Jesus, trying to be what we need to be in communications for the individual believer as well as the church community, and how all of this can work together. We got to have it. We really have to have it. And so who better than us, right? We're already there. We're ready. We got 178 years behind us. I mean, think of all the shoulders we're standing on, right? And so to just build on what we've been handed this amazing legacy to try to take care of in this moment. And that's scary. That can be super scary. But yeah, I think we're going to get better at being able to share our own story. And then in that, I think we're going to be able to be there for the believers in Alabama and beyond.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you have done some first, in case people haven't added it up or know about it. You are the 13th president and editor-in-chief of this paper, number 13.
Hey.
And that's a lucky number.
How
I
about
love
that?
13.
I think you wrote that on your jersey, didn't you, Debbie?
Yes, I did. That was on my jersey. And also, Jennifer, I want people to know too, you are the first woman to be president and editor-in-chief of the Alabama Baptist. And I think that says a lot about you and your character and your integrity, that, you know, you are loved and you are trusted. And we just thought I just want to say congratulations.
Oh,
Right
thank
here
you.
on this interview.
Thank you. Thank you. I do look a little different than the other portraits. That's true. Oh, well, you know, guys, I have to say that this has been a fun opportunity, and I don't mean to cut it short, but I have to tell you a fun other piece. I mean, you guys know already, but we're telling everybody else. This is actually not only the interview of my 25 years, but also my last time on Tab Talks. Can you believe it? I'm going to step into a new role. It's a Tab Media special report that we're going to do one-on-one interviews where I'll just kind of do more breaking news, hard news, any kind of news that needs clarifying, but it'll be on our YouTube channel, Tab Media Group. And so I get to say congratulations to Debbie Campbell. She's now named Tab Talks host, and our own Maggie Evans will be the co-host. So congratulations to you two. Yay. So it's been fun. With Debbie, we started this, can you believe it, in August of 2018. And
Oh my goodness.
we started the radio show in June of 2018, and then we moved it to a podcast format in August of 2018, and it's been both radio show and podcast since then. Isn't that crazy?
It's been a while.
I know it. So I'm trusting you. I'm handing off. I'm trusting you to take care of our little Tab Talks baby here, and just grow it and make it even better, because that's what's been fun for me too, as I've moved in and moved on and stepped in and stepped off and knocked the microphone over. All of these things we get to do, it's fun to watch it get even better. Every time I hand it off, it gets even better. And so I can't wait to see what y'all are going to do with Tab Talks. And if you'll give me the honor of signing us off, I'll do it one last time.
We'll let you sign us off, Jennifer.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. We'll be back next week.